Uh, welcome back. Welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to see Ralph debate between Ralph Miliband and Nicos Poulantzas. Ralph Miliband and Nicos Poulantzas, both Marxist, both hardcore political scientists, and both are philosophical. Their theories are philosophical. They are not scientific in any sense of the term. Right? This philosophicalness, the core of political science, was challenged in 1960s and 1970s. The philosophical core, the normative core of political science was challenged by behavioralism. By behavioralism in 1960s and 1970s. What is behavioralism? By word, what do you mean by behavioralism? What do you understand by behavioralism? Behavior, behavioral, behavioralism, right? Understanding political science through understanding behavior of actors of political science, right? Right. So this was a scientific revolution that scholars tried to bring in political science, that we will understand and we will analyze and we will study behavior of actors of political science, of stakeholders of political science. Who are stakeholders of political science? Who are stakeholders of politics? Politicians, statesmen, government, electors, democracy, civil society, right? We will voting behavior. So we will analyze and study that behavior and make our theories scientific, because they thought human behavior was repeatable, right? So what behavioralism led to was basically studying behavior of stakeholders or actors of political science, that led to under theoreticization of, right? State state was not studied much due to behavioralism, right? This behavioralism, this scientific revolution, was called by Marxists like Poulantzas and Miliband as bourgeoisie social science. Why bourgeoisie social science? Why bourgeoisie social science? Because because behavioralism is not an emancipatory theory. It is a descriptive theory, right? That is why Miliband and Poulantzas called behavioralism to be bourgeoisie social science. It does not try to bring change, it tries to explain what is there. It tries to explain what is, and it does not give the solution for what should be, right? And by calling bourgeoisie social science, behavioralism to be bourgeoisie social science, they they started with their effort of theoretization of state, and they analyzed they analyzed capitalist they analyzed capitalist societies of UK and US. They analyzed capitalist state of UK and US, and in their analysis of capitalist state of UK and US, Miliband and Poulantzas found different different natures of this state, right? Miliband Miliband found what? Miliband found that state is an instrument in hands of capitalist. So Miliband is instrumentalist. Miliband is instrumentalist, and and Miliband talks about this instrumentalist nature of state in his book State in Capitalist Societies. Miliband take instrumentalist view. What is instrumentalism? What is instrumentalism? That state is an instrument in hands of hands of capitalist class. State is an instrument in hands of capitalist class. Right? Economic power controls state, and state is run by elites. State is run by elites. Then what does Miliband say? Miliband says, and Miliband criticizes managerial revolution of James Burnham. Right? In End of Ideology, we saw this concept of managerial revolution, whereby Burnham says that there is no need of revolution anymore because all the decisions are taken by managers and anyone can become managers. Right? Anyone can become managers. So managers will set the agenda, managers will do good for its own group. This idea that anyone can become manager and anyone can get to get to and climb the social ladder. This idea of managerial revolution was criticized by Ralph Miliband. Ralph Miliband says that it is true, it is true that it is true that managers come from diverse group of people, right? Managers come from diverse group of people, but this diverse group of people will take will take such decisions will take such decision which perpetuate interest of capitalist class, right? Managerial revolution is a myth because even though managers come from diverse group, the decisions which managers take will perpetuate interest of capitalist class, right? And he says that state is an instrument of capitalist class. Economic power controls state, and state is run by elites. Who are these elites? Who are these elites? right? Elites come from economically dominant class. They will get education, they will get best of facilities and get to power. You see top bureaucrats, you see top judges, you see military officers, they are elites. Such elites take take interest interest of capitalist class ahead. Factor in they don't factor in interest of subaltern class. This is what Miliband tries to say, right? And Miliband talks about Miliband talks about legitimation. He says that majority of population will accept whatever the decisions that elite take because you are you are interpolated, you are a discourse, and we have been hegemonized by the elite. So this was Miliband's view on state, whereby he thinks that state is an instrument of capitalist class and state is run by elites who capture central institutions. This elite work for capitalist class. He says that managerial revolution is a myth. Even though managers come from diverse background, they will take such decisions which will help capitalist class only. And he says that the majority population will accept the decisions which have been taken by elite because of things like legitimation, interpolation, and hegemony. Right? Against this view of instrumentalist state, we see we see Nikos Pulunza, Nikos Pulunza, Nikos Pulunza writing about relative autonomy of state in his book The Problem of Capitalist State, and in his book Political Power and Social Classes. Right? Political power and social classes. Nikos Pulunza. Nikos Pulunza represents Nikos Pulunza represents relative autonomy, relative autonomy, or structuralism of political science. If Nikos Pulunza talks about relative autonomy or structuralism, what he will say, right? He will say that elite elites, as said by Miliband, don't have power. It is actually the structures which has power. He says that Miliband's empirical model is too simplistic, whereby Miliband says that power lies with elite and and elite will take such a decision so that capitalist interests are put forward. This he say this Pulunza says is a very simplistic idea. It is a very simplistic idea. State is not this simple, right? State is not this simple, right? There is basic structure, superstructure, and they influence each other. This is relatively autonomy. This will keep in mind. This will keep in mind. Keeping this in mind, what does Poulantzas will say? Poulantzas will say that Miliband's model of elite domination on state is too simplistic. And Poulantzas will say that state state is not an instrument, but it is factor of cohesion, and state maintains equilibrium in society, right? And state conceals class divisions. So three things. State is factor of cohesion. Second thing, state preserves equilibrium in society. And the third thing, that state conceals class division, right? Remember, remember Gramsci. In Gramsci, we have understood the concept of opaque state. In opaque state, if you remember, exploitation is not visible. Exploitation is not visible. As exploitation is not visible, revolution is hard. This is exactly the same concept. State plays the role of State plays the role of the entity which hides the exploitation, right? And it which hides the exploitation, but at the same time also works for which at the same time also works for betterment of everyone, right? This is a bit positive concept as given by Poulantzas. It is not negative, right? He says that state can work for capitalist class, but state will also work for working class, state will also work for subaltern, right? State as factor of cohesion, right? Cohesion, equilibrium, and conceals class division. How state does this, right? State does these three things of cohesion, class division, and equilibrium by doing one thing, which is stabilizing capitalist system. What do you mean by stabilizing the capitalist system? Stabilizing the capitalist system mean that state will work for capitalist system and against capitalist system as well. State will do both, right? State will do both. Nikos Poulantzas takes analysis of state on structural level, right? Miliband says that power lies with elite. Power lies with elite. Miliband says that power lies with elite. Poulantzas will say that power is with structures. No matter, no matter the position of elite, capitalist system will perpetuate itself. Right? He says that it does not matter where you come from. You have to take such decisions which will perpetuate capitalist system. But issue with capitalist system that he explains, right, is is right, why relatively autonomous theory, right? We have seen his criticism of Miliband's theory of elite domination, and we saw that how capitalist system will perpetuate itself regardless of individuals. But why capitalist system, in capitalist system it doesn't matter who acquires position, because capitalist system, and why capitalist system need state for stabilizing it, is because number one, there are internal divisions in capitalist class, right? There are internal division of capitalist class. So the structure according to Pulunza will be like this, right? This is economic basic structure which is fragmented, right? This is capitalist class 1, this is capitalist class 2, this is capitalist class C, this is capitalist class 4. These are workers, these are peasants, right? This is fragmented capitalist class. And above this, let's suppose this is state. Capitalist class 1 will try to influence state. All these classes will try to influence state on their own. What state does is maintain these divisions so that its powers perpetuate, and capitalism be will be stabilized. This is what the role of state in Kulunza's theory of state, whereby internal division of capitalist class will be will be there. State will handle the internal divisions so that it has some power, and capitalist class will influence, state will influence, bi-directional influence will be there, right? The second thing is that state makes concession to worker class as well, so that there are no protest, and and relatively autonomous state will work in public interest so that national unity is shown, right? So this was Pulunza's view on state. We have understood the debate whereby one talk about elite, other talk about system, and both are useful in understanding state in Marxist perspective. Now we'll understand Jessup's theory.